Hello again, Sagittarius. It's November 2016. I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com.au. Before I begin today, just a point, the lighting here is playing up. We've had some severe typhoons and storms, so that's affecting the current. So if you see the lights brighten or dim intermittently here, it's not your screen, it's happening here. It's a bit of a difficult reading for you this month, given that there's a new moon that ushers in the month with the moon, Mercury and Sun in your 12th house. The 12th house, like the 8th house of the horoscope, is a little difficult for some astrologers to work out. It's sort of a secretive house. So it immediately tells us that a large part of the focus here is on maybe things beneath the surface, things from your past that you can't quite grasp. And so the question is, how do you deal with subconscious problems? People say, oh, you've got psychological complexes from childhood. Well, if they're unconscious problems, how do you make them conscious? I guess that's a legitimate question. And one that this new moon is going to bring up for you. So firstly, let me say the new moon is usually a very auspicious happening, and it triggers the affairs of the house or the sector of the horoscope that it's occurring in, and in your case, this 12th house. So how do we deal with this? It has to do with your past. It has to do with the issues that may have been submerged. Some astrologers call it the house of one's own undoing. It's the house of expenses. It's the house of release. And most astrologers, especially the Eastern astrologers, are of the opinion that this has a lot to do with spirituality, meditation, retreats, that sort of thing. Now, you know, your star sign is a very outgoing sign. You're ruled by the jovial Jupiter. I think what's happening for you now is there's a turning back of the awareness on yourself rather than looking outwards for things to satisfy you. There's a distinct, I call it an opportunity for you to really start to enjoy yourself, enjoy your own company, not feel as if you have to rely on others for that happiness. And of course, turning the torchlight of awareness back on yourself reveals, and this is the way the unconscious does reveal itself, through introspection, awareness, and also through processes of meditation and yoga. And for some of you, that may be a distinct option to bring up those things that are probably under the surface bothering you and undermining you, subconsciously sabotaging you in your relationships and even in your professional endeavours. So it's a good thing to have this new moon here. It's an even better thing to look at the stuff that's being pointed to through this particular set of celestial events. One thing on the practical level, now we've talked about the spiritual level, using your awareness. Now you also have to remain aware of how you spend money, how you share your resources with others, because this 12th house, and especially when you have the Sun and Mercury together in this area, that can in some cases in the birth horoscope indicate penalties, taxes, fines, or debts from the past that haven't yet been paid that you may need to, along with the 6th house, which is the opposite house. But these are debts you may not even be aware of. That could be like, driving along and a couple of weeks later you get a ticket for, what, $300? Was I speeding? You may not even be aware of what those debts or those outgoings are going to be. In terms of mitigating the outlay, it's good for you now to take care of your expenses and to assume that there are going to be some expenses you may not be prepared for or not aware of. So creating a bit of a buffer there, I think is what I'm saying, is extremely important for you. Generally, however, you know, your ruling planet Jupiter is transiting in the 11th house of profits. it continues in its journey there. It's exceptionally favourable for making friends, creating new alliances. There goes the lighting again, sorry about that. Bit of mood. And generally earning. So what I'm saying is you've got to be careful, because while the inflow is there, it's very easy for the outflow to take over, and you need to be particularly careful not to assume you have more than enough, because those unexpected bills may take you by surprise. Overall, though, I think you, on balance, that Jupiter is, that 11th house Jupiter is going to hold you in good stead. Wow. I hope that's not annoying you too much. That lighting has really dulled quite a bit now. The other thing I see here is, which ties in with that, is the second house. Let me just see if I can fix that. Sorry, folks. We're getting a little bit of a problem there. The second house Mars, which has to do with expenses as well. Fortunately, that planet will move away from this area of expenditure. It's actually a planet that shows your desire to earn more money, but it can equally show impulsiveness and a willful desire to get what you want at all costs. So that is why I've said you need to be very, very careful about creating a bit of a budget there and not allowing your costs to spiral out. There's I've mentioned the new moon. There's a full moon occurring in the sign of Taurus, which is your 6th house. And this has to do with your workplace activities. So when that occurs, that's around the 14th, the second half of the month, I perceive as being much more focused in terms of the way you are doing your work, the relationships you're having in your workplace. And moreover, the 6th house has to do with health and vitality. And in many cases, I've found that health and vitality linked to the work that you do, but more importantly, to the attitude and the way that you work. So that's also another area, I think, for the second half of the month that you need to pay close attention to, and if possible, shift your attitude. We mentioned earlier the expenses. Expenses can come in the form of energy. The energy you put into something is also a form of expense. So I think that is where the health issue may arise, in terms of being indiscriminate in the way you work, the hours you work, the way you eat, just the whole process of work. And also be very careful of the psychic vampires that are out to suck you dry. You need to put up that wall, that barrier. You need to be very discriminating before you give to these sort of people. If you can do that, I think you're going to be able to collect that energy, collect your resources, and forge ahead in a very, very effective manner in the coming months and even years. Hope to have your company next month. Don't forget, I'm here available for one-on-one interaction if you'd like to have a personal reading, to look at your horoscope at the time you're born, to see exactly how all those patterns were affecting you at birth and are affecting you now. That's a personal consultation. And of course, we've got all the other free stuff there that you're more than welcome to take a look at. Till next month, take care. Bye-bye.